time, we are going to look at our first topic. The federal government on Thursday received the forensic audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission, and no doubt that forensic audit has been on for a long time. I remember when the president set up that committee to look into that, to audit the Niger Delta Development Commission. And today we have the results. You see, let's maybe we'll just go straight, Barrister Kolawode. The very first question that came to my mind when I heard that the audit
has been submitted
was that, do we actually prosecute people and they go to jail?
You know, even before the law, there are tigers and there are flies.
Okay.
Most times, the tigers are able to slip through the webs of the law. It is the flies that most times get caught up in the process. And I'll give you two examples. A classical one. You remember the case of Chief Bode George, when he was chairman of the Nigerian Ports Authority. It was alleged that there was some irregularities, financial impropriety under his leadership in there. And the matter went to court, and he was convicted at the lower court in the Lagos High Court here. He appealed, and subsequently the matter went to the Supreme Court. And under technicalities, that he ought to have been tried before a federal high court and not a state high court, he was able to escape a justice. When you compare that to what happened in South Africa, especially the Oscar Pistorius case, for example, the lower court got carried away because Oscar Pistorius was an amputee, and after killing somebody too, he went to court weeping like a canary, and the lower court, because of that, gave him a lighter sentence. And then when the matter went to a higher court and what have you, the higher court over there said, look, even though we do know that certain things were not properly told at the lower court, we are not going to remit this case again back to that lower court for retrial. Because in the process, some of the witnesses may no longer be available. It may be difficult to lay hands on some documents that have been tendered and what have you. Some of them may have perished and what have you. And that they will, based on the evidence and the record of the court before them and all that, they were going to take a decision. And they went ahead and convicted of the security and even increased his sentence.
Yes.
And all
I
that.
remember the case.
Most times that doesn't happen here.
But that is in South Africa.
Exactly. That does not happen in Nigeria. You also saw the way and manner Odius Okalu's case.
Somebody that was convicted.
Exactly. I have never, most time before a case will travel from appeal from lower court to this thing. Sometimes it takes not less than 30 years. But after it was alleged that the court ought not of court certain things which he himself, the scenario which he himself created, his lawyers and himself applied to the judge who had been transferred, who had been elevated to the court of appeal, that they want him to continue the matter so that he could be expeditiously dealt with because they were tired and whatever. And then based on that, the trial went on. After it went on, after the decision was taken, given an order, these same people now again use that as a basis to contest the case. At the end of the day, the case was nullified. If you were a fly and not a tiger, some of those decisions are not that much difficult to come your way. And if it will come your way, it will take a long time to go. So, the summary of the question, the summary of the answer to your question is yes, we have had a few people who have been tried and then convicted and even sentenced and what have you, and then who have even served jail time, or who are serving jail time now. But it's not too common because the tigers in the society have a way, they have manners and ways by which they really make the law dance to their tune.
Okay, Barrister Chime, the reason why I asked that question was because from the forensic audit reports that came in, we learned that over 6 trillion since 2001, that 2001 to 2019, has passed through that NDDC. And from what they also give, they said about over 13,000 projects are compromised. That is either they start it, they don't end it, or they mobilize them, they don't go about carrying it out. How would you reconcile this, looking at a society where there is law, rule of law?
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Jude. You know, it will be recalled that in October 2020, the media was inundated with a report of monumental corruption,
yes.
that is ravaging the NDDC, ranging from corruption, physical recklessness, and non-spending of budgetary allocation.
Okay.
And based on the outcry, the panel was, the auditors was empaneled to look into the activities of NDDC to unravel what has stunted that commission from inception between 2000. And I remember that sometime last year on this television, we had this topic, and I said that beyond the audit, at the time when Mohamed Buhari ordered this audit to commence, that there have been previous attempts by successive governments to try to unravel the problem within the NDDC. That's the purpose for which NDDC was created, have been, you know, forestalled. So it was in the light of that this auditors was empaneled. Yes, well, much as I've not seen the details of the report, based on, but I will speak based on the reportage of the media houses. Yes, they have mentioned monumental projects that were abandoned, you know, 13,000 and a whole lot of other things that happened. The problem is not, you know, having this kind of reports. Every successive government will come and have a report. I said it's because we don't have the willingness to prosecute offenders. Okay. That is the hallmark of the problem. If the government is willing to prosecute these people, they will do that. But where, you know, they don't punish offenders, there is this proclivity that people will continue to, you know, commit crimes and go scot-free. So it's not about, the report has come in, we thank God for that, but in the coming days, we will see the willingness of the government to implement some of the recommendations made in that report.
Okay.
So the problem is about the willingness of the states. It's not about the law. We have enough laws to, you know, to regulate the citizens' behavior. It is about the practicability and applicability of those laws to those citizens, because it seems that some citizens are more citizens than others, if I should put it that way. So those who are benefiting from this corruption are known by government. They are some of them are governors, some of them are ministers, some of them are senators. So how do you begin to prosecute your own? So at the end of the day, even all the recommendations in this report may not be made public, just as the previous ones have never been made public. So we have enough laws. Let us get this thing right. It is about the willingness and implementation of those laws.
Yeah, talking about the willingness and implementation, Barrister Falawale, it was just part of the first question that I asked you, that do we actually prosecute people?
Yeah.
But the question now, talking about the willingness you talked about, what beats my imagination is to see the fact that we have had people managing the affairs of this since 2001.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there have been different people coming there and carrying out one project or the other, assuming that they have completed it. Now, they said NDDC is having 362 bank accounts. 362 bank accounts. What are we doing with this? And do you think those that has mounted the affairs of this NDDC should be called to question? Or if, let's start with that first.
Okay, well, as regards whether people have managed the affairs of NDDC should be called to question, the law is very, very clear about that. It's very, very sacrosanct. Where a crime is alleged to have been committed, time doesn't run out on it. You can always be called back at any time to come and answer for whatever crimes it is alleged that you have been committed. In fact, go and do your investigations. You'll find out hardly has anybody been the chairman, I mean the MD of NDDC, who has left the place who didn't aspire to become a governor.
Yes, I was coming to that. Okay.
Who will not aspire to become a governor?
Yes.
And before they went in there as a MD, you will find out these are people who could hardly aspire to become councillor or local government chairman in the respective places. This tells you that a lot of monumental corruption has been going on in that place. Even the present minister has said, look, the NDDC has become an ATM for certain persons. Now to the other legs, with regards to whether we could have political will and then successfully prosecute people in this case. Just like my learned friend has said, I have very, very serious doubts. I have very, very serious doubts. Even look at the audit trail that has just taken place. Was that audit invitation to audit the account of NDDC? Was it openly advertised and publicly bidded for by all the auditors who may be within the country and who might be interested in auditing the account? Or was it a selective picking of an auditor to go and audit?
The president gave an approval.
Exactly.
A body to
in an ideal manner, if you want a transparent audit process to take place and all that, it would have been better to advertise and all that for who may ever have an auditing firm who is interested in auditing that account to publicly bid for it, and then you select in a very, very transparent manner. Let me give you an example. When I worked in one organization before, we had a fantastic man who was the owner and chairman and all that. Every week when people want to bid to supply things and then even buy things from other and other, we had a box in which they will put their
like suggestion box.
No, they will put their bid in a box. And that box, two people would hold the key to the box. On the day that box is going to be open, all the two people will be there. And then they will bring the whole bid, paper submitted and all that to the table and open before all everybody. We say we have a procurement office, but you still find out that this government, for reasons best known to them, still do selective purchases and bidding. So the auditing process in itself is I am not too comfortable with it. Furthermore, look at the cost at which that company, that agency has been audited. It's outrageous. Professionally, all over the world, you find that there is a scale of fees that auditors, lawyers, medical doctors, and all that is prescribed by their own rules and regulations. It is only here in Nigeria we hardly follow that kind of. Most time, if you are auditing an agency as big as that,
challenging the credibility of
exactly. If you are auditing an account that is as big as that, most time your fee is usually between 10% to 5% of whatever processes. Then also look at even the the minister who received the audit report. It has also been alleged that he himself had been helping himself to some contract, cutting the web of whatever may have been happening in NDDC. So that is this another something. Then the political will. By the time you dig deeper, by the time the president reads what is contained in that audit report and they begin to make further inquiries in the preparation of their so-called white paper, it will be seen and it will be too clear that some of the money that were taken from the NDDC are ended up in the pocket of some of this political party or some of the very, very important personalities who have either served as minister or any of the political appointees under the government.
Yeah, I had that allegation. They said they will sponsor some people that wants to vote.
Most people, if you are a chairman of the house or if you are in the House of Rep and a committee on NDDIC, automatically some contracts and things are waiting for you. If you are in the Senate, something is waiting for you. Look look at what happened when the chairman, I mean the MD, appeared in there, and then he was being grilled. And then he collapsed. What happened? Quickly in there, somebody stepped in. I think it was even Badabi Amila and said that, and then put an end to the whole public something that was going on. That is to tell you that I accept this government, except the people in the president want to commit a kind of suicide. That is when this audit report is likely to see the light of day, and people will be prosecuted diligently.
Okay, Barrister Chime. You did talk about willingness of government to prosecute and also to implement this. You know, the thing is, I want to find out from you. Now, if you look at the saga when this thing was being investigated at the House of Representatives, you remember the saga, how people and off your mic, the man collapsed and everything. Now, the minister said something that there is nobody that will not say out of the lawmakers that they did not collect contract from NDDC. Do you think with the allegation, I guess the minister must have looked through the books for him to have made that allegation. They came back because yes. So what do you think is going to happen?
Nothing will happen. It's an open secret. The truth is this. I had said earlier that there shouldn't have been any audit.
In the first instance,
there shouldn't have been anything like audit. That NDDC over the years have become a cash cow to politicians, and ordering another audit is just another jamboree, which will eventually end into a corner, and nothing will come out of it. Everybody knows what NDDC has been up to since its inception. That is why they've not been able to achieve their mandate. So it is not about the minister trying to say it softly that everybody in one way or the other must have been affected. It is a cash cow for them. And I said, and I'm repeating it here, that if you look critically into the activities of NDDC from inception, you will marvel at the kind of corruption that went in there. It is monumental. Why I'm saying it? Because I'm privy to certain information, particularly with respect to previous audits that have been conducted in respect of the activities of NDDC. I will give you an instance. For instance, the management of NDDC at some point would engineer a lawsuit against the commission with a view to making money out of it.
Giving out
and when someone, institutes an action against NDDC, they will hurriedly enter into a truce or understanding or terms of settlement, and monies will be paid both to the lawyers and parties involved. So these are avenues through which they milk NDDC dry. And I said that if NDDC have not been able to live up to its expectation since 2001 to date, almost 20 years, I think it is high time we dissolve that commission. Okay,
Barrister Kolawole, the lead forensic auditor, Kabil Ahmed, he made some recommendation, chief of which is he was talking about downsizing the board, the NDDC board. He also talked about that the members of the team should henceforth be appointed at a part-time basis. He also talked about the managerial and structural changes in the board. I think, do you agree with him that some of these changes are needed?
Well, it's we cannot dispute that. Not every organization must continuously re-engineer itself to be able to live up to whatever mandate has been given to it by whatever laws, edicts, and acts may be establishing it. To that extent, I think what Kapilu said should be a welcome development. But the question you would ask yourself is that what has those recommendations really got to do with auditing? And Nora, I thought I would have loved to see Kabiru say, look, these are the loopholes that we have found in the way and manner money gets flies out of the distance. This is what came in within so period. These are the items upon which they are spent. This is and that, and then you recommend a whole series of measures by which the finances of the company could be safeguarded from being pivoted or stolen or laundered, as they want to say now, instead of saying stolen. And all that. So Kabiru appeared to me to be talking politics, and that goes back to what I said earlier on, that most times, even when these auditors are being selected, there are preferences. You know, no on this politician will select an auditor who is independent, who is uncompromisable, who would say it the way it should be said. It is people that they think is likely, whom they think that they can manage or control, that they would actually give some of these very, very juicy auditing jobs to. Just like my friend said, in the first instance, there is no need for the establishment of NDDC. I think we have the Niger Delta Commission. I think, my brother, I'm sure we have the Niger Delta Commission that is also established by an act of the National Assembly. And when you look at the mandate of the Niger Delta, or is it ministry or whatever?
It's the same Niger Delta Development Commission.
No, there's a ministry during. Okay, it don't attend to NDC and not. Well, even if there is no ordinary other instance, something, you will find out that they ought not to be too rigid and specialized agency to manage some of the things that the NDC is scheduled the responsibilities of managing today. It's like in those days you used to have the Federal Capital Authority, you have Abuja Municipal Authority, and all manners of agencies. Basically, they're doing the same thing. I am sure whatever activities that the Niger Delta communities are scheduled responsibility of carrying out, there are agencies of the federal government that will adequately take care of those responsibilities without us establishing or putting in place this ATM machine that politicians now use to siphon the resources of the people of the Niger Delta.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why it was established was to look at how to develop that region, since they are getting oil from there. But Barrister Chime, one of the things that the minister was also talking about, that since 1958 till date, that the people are still backward.
Of course.
Yes, that's why I said that if for over 20 years the commission was established. They've not been able to live up to its expectation. I don't think there's any need retaining it. But before I go, I will throw more light. Let me quickly address the last question you asked my colleague. I think it has to do with having a part-time basis people in the board. Yes, my immediate reaction is that actually the issue with NDDC? Has that been why NDDC has been stagnated for 20 years? There have been arguments that at the board, the constitution of the board, is only 3 members are full-time members, others are part-time. But these are rhetorics. It does not address the issue or the question. The question is that all the budgetary allocations made between 2001 to 2020, what have you been able to achieve with those budgetary allocations? The essence of NDDC was to cater for the effect of oil exploration in the Niger Delta region. Because of course in the production of oil, the environment is being decimated, and also to give those oil communities sense of belonging, and addressing the effect of oil spillages. Has these things been addressed? The answer is no. So that is the major question. So if the report of the audit is saying you have to downsize the members of the board, let us have a full-time and part-time basis, for me it's a nonsense recommendation. The question is that those who have looted this country dry through this NDDC commission should be made to account for these monies. They know them. They should mention their names, and I believe that they also publish the reports of this audit. Let Nigerians know what has happened in this commission for 20 years. It's not about telling us that the report is out and after 2 days nothing will be heard of it and the jamboree continues. That is not the issue. If we really want to deal with the issue, both the immediate and remote cause of the challenges grappling NDDC, we must name names and people must be prosecuted.
Maybe we hope that the authority are listening to us, and we believe and we are praying that this report will see the light of the day, and that people that have been alleged to have siphoned the coffers of the Niger Delta people should be brought to book at the end of the day. We pray they will not treat it like the other reports that we only heard about it. We heard about the horrible things and everything, and it was later swept under the carpet.